Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to this beautiful morning of our soulful journey. Let's start this gorgeous morning by closing our eyes, bowing down to the divine, to the higher beings that continue to be around us, that continue to surround us, that are always guiding us, guarding us, protecting us, shielding us, that are always there in harmony, helping us strive towards harmony, that are there to help us make the right choices by coming to us in the form of gut feeling, intuition, and by helping us to drop all fears by motivating us. While that also happens, we are very familiar that anything which is not of God's light will push us off track, will give us thoughts of fear. And when that comes, oftentimes that is not of God's light. So anything joyous, anything happy, anything which is of life is coming from our heart center. So let's continue to tune inwards to find our calling, to find where we are and for what purpose we are, to assimilate the new, to welcome the new, to trust the process of life that we have lived and will live and are continuing to live, to know that whatever happens to us is happening to us because of our consciousness. If we raise the level of our being, our consciousness, the quality of our life definitely raises. So we're all on a path of discovering our strengths, of discovering our core strengths, taking us so much more deeper internally. And as you continue to think of these positive thoughts, now concentrate on your breathing. Be grateful for every breath in, every breath out. If you'd like to practice to get yourself more aligned, practice the box breathing. Breath in, hold, breath out, hold. Know it in your heart that wherever you turn, prosperity follows because you are walking on the path of love and light, and that you share your strengths. You serve with love. You practice compassion. You practice conscious living. That you are learning to strive towards harmonious living. And that you do small little acts of kindness for yourself and for others, leading you in an even more grateful life. Let's affirm this morning that I am a yes person. Everything happens to me beautifully. Let's also affirm to our universe, I am open and receptive to all abundance, to all the goodness in my universe. I'm here to learn, to grow, to evolve, to accept. I'm here to breathe freely, fully, easily. I'm here to enjoy every moment of every day, not just some special moments. But when I start tuning in my life, then every moment seems like a celebration. And when there's negative energy around me, I simply cut myself off. When there's bickering happening around me, complaining happening around me, I do not allow myself to go in that guilt trip. That is that person's problem, not my problem. Some people choose to all the time complain, to bicker, to put you in the right place, thinking that that is where you should be. That is their ego talking, not yours. Maybe you're too easy in life, and that's fine for you. So stop trying to change yourself for the others. Even though you're a yes person, start saying no to what doesn't appeal for you, even though the other person may feel bad. Learn to take a stand from yourself, because only when you take a stand for yourself, you're respecting yourself. It's not very easy to love and approve of oneself, but at least one can be willing to learn, to try to love and approve of yourself. And that is the biggest gift we can give to God, because He has made us with His act of love. Every cell fiber of our being is together in harmony because of love. Let's affirm to life, a dear life, I live you joyously. I choose to live you joyously. I choose to celebrate every day of my life, whether I go for a walk, whether I just move around the house. I live with gratitude. And I'm thankful to you for unfolding so beautifully. Even though hardships come, they're only coming to test me, and I passed with flying colors. And it's your birthright to live fully. If somebody wants you to compromise on that and you want to live fully, live it. Tell yourself, I'm unstoppable. I strive to get what I want. Oftentimes, we become victims because we are dependent on somebody for living. But if that person is not worth it, is not proved himself or herself, let them be, because that's how they're meant to be. Maybe they're happy and content in what they've chosen. So let's accept that you are the creator of your life. If somebody else is not creating and giving it to you on a platter, it's all right. You have the power to create a life of your own. Just go inwards and everything outwards will go spiraling up and up and up. It's all about our soul's journey. It's about going inwards. It's about finding that beautiful love, which is our own essence. It is about being whole. And you are whole. Anybody who tries to shatter you, break you, and say that you're chipped, just say, yes, it's meant for my soul growth. I have chosen this at a soul level lesson. And the same things which used to irritate you, maybe if they did, now claim your power back. So say, affirm, I claim my power back. I feel whole and complete. Nobody can shake me, break me, make me without my permission. And I choose to live my life graciously, gracefully, with grace. Because I know I'm a blessed, infinite being. And today, on this Thankful Thursday, let's know that we have so much to be grateful for, so much to be thankful for. And let's count all of our blessings. And right now, let's wish, pray for guidance, protection, security from our angels, masters, teachers, gurus, parents, ancestors, in this realm or the other, in this dimension or the other, in this being or the other, to always be around us, even though we know they're around us, to just take extra care of us. because they are the higher beings. But on an earthly level, I can be who I am. I can try to find who I am. And once I'm on that journey of inward journey of finding myself, I surely will find myself because good practice will come automatically, be it meditation, be it practicing mindfulness, heartfulness. Everything will flow because I am flowing in the synchronicity of life, deeply, fully, beautifully. And now let's fold our hands and bow once again in gratitude to everything that unfolds us around us, to the life givers around us, to the amenities that we enjoy, to the life that we live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, if you wish, you can rub your hands. Bless your beautiful eyes, your face, your hair, your head, your shoulders, your neck, arms, upper to lower, back to front, your chest, abdomen area, thigh area, knee area, calves, ankles, feet, soles, back side of your knee, calves, knees, thighs, hips, lower back, middle back, upper back. And now let's joyfully open our eyes and welcome this beautiful book which we are studying, and which is called Messages from the Masters. And today we're going to start a new chapter in this beautiful book. And the chapter is very, very powerful for all of us. Yesterday we talked about channeling. We talked about that all of us, when we start meditating and when we go into meditation with trust, with faith, and at times with questions, we will be given signs, synchronicities, messages. Something can be heard, something can be seen with the inner eyes, something can be witnessed, something can be felt. So how is it that we enhance this gift which we have already been gifted with and help ourselves discover our spirituality, our spirit's actual reality? And with the help of that, how can we change our personality, our personal reality? Most of the times, we are waiting for some outside support or trigger to change us. But what if all of that was just in the paper? And what if you only had to go in and to trust the process of life and to listen to these extraordinary messages that are being relayed to you? Now, let's understand a little more about it. Yes, I totally believe that there are gifted mediums, psychics, channelers, and in the metaphysical world, lots of beautiful things are there. But I also believe that at the base level, all of us are gifted. It's just that when we are ready and we are open and receptive and we are on a path of love and light, when we are disciplined to meditate every day, hopefully at the same time, do good things at the same time, then our body, which is physical, mental, etheric, astral, all of them come in alignment and they then start coming in alignment. That's when magics happen. It doesn't happen overnight. We are people in progress. And when we start progressing every day, inch by inch, step by step, bit by bit, the puzzles start to come in peace. And then one fine day you will say, hey, I had a vision, or hey, I had a premonition, or hey, I saw this, or hey, I got this message, or I got this clue. And then you will say, it just happened. But actually, if you see the journey just doesn't happen, it is happening for a while. And we are habitual beings. If we develop good habits, which take about 21 days to be made, oftentimes we start something, a week, 10 days goes brilliantly, 2 weeks goes brilliantly, and sometimes you dwindle. In Atomic Habits by James Clear, he categorically mentions 2 days in a row, nothing should be missed. So if you walk One day you may take chutti from it for whatever reasons. Even if your body says, I can't get up, just say, no, we will go for a walk. If not 1 hour, half an hour. If not half an hour, 10 minutes, but we will go, so that the conditioning of the mind says, I must wear my shoes and go wear my outfit and go for a walk. And when that happens, we are training our memory muscle, our body muscle to become a better version of ourselves. So walk is not only important for our physical body, it's extremely important for our energy body. Because, and of course, depends on where you're walking. If you're walking in a park between Mother Nature, you are healing at an atomic level, at a cellular level. Because you're going to be seeing butterflies and flowers and trees and saplings and plant and grass and where you walk on, and you'll be meeting people, and the energy will increase. So as much as possible, start doing outdoor activities with Mother Nature. I know it's hot, but choose the right time and do it. For women, just lift your hair, make them in a bun, and just go. Excuses is something we have been thriving on, maybe not putting everybody in the same category. But if we have to excuse ourselves from that pattern of life, we must rebuild ourselves. And what are these extraordinary messages? It is on this plane that some souls are allowed to manifest themselves to the people who are still in physical form. They're allowed to come back. On this plane, intercommunication is allowed. This is where you're allowed to use your psychic abilities and communicate with people in physical form. There are many ways to do this. Some allow the power of sight and can show some themselves to the people still in physical form. Others have the power of movement and are allowed to move objects telepathically. Many people choose to come here because they're allowed to see those who are still in physical form and very close to them. So it's very simple. Souls are always around us. Sometimes some things move, they're trying to give you a message. Sometimes you're just sitting down and something falls. You're like, how did it fall? There's no hava here. There's no pressure here. That's when you know that there is some message being tried to come through to you. But are you open and receptive to get that message? So when I was in Rishikesh in the month of May, I was one day very tired, and I said, today morning I will not meditate. I do 3-4 meditations back to back. I'm like, today I will not do meditations. I will just sleep because I really want to sleep. And it was in the Himalayas. I used to open the window. Fresh breeze used to come. But in a corner was a beautiful little tiny mandir. There was no hava. The curtains also couldn't move. And out of the blue, a bell came and it was thrown on the floor near the mandir area. And my yoga spot was right there. So I said, it's okay, mandir ka bell. I got up and I put it back. And again, I slept. Slept for 2-3 minutes, and again the bell came and fell closer to my body, this time near the middle of my body. And I was like, looked around, I was like, koi hava to hai nahi, kahan se gir rahi hai? Again, I kept back. Then I said, ki pata nahi what's happening. And then mosquito manifestation started happening. And I was bitten like, it's like, where have mosquitoes come from? They never come. Every day the windows are open. Today, where have they come? I'm on the 5th floor. How have mosquitoes come here? All right. But I still was trying to sleep because I was ziddi. I wanted to sleep. And this time the bell came and fell on my ear like this. And I'm like, Jhanjan. And bell, matlab mandir ka bell, just came Jhanjan. And I'm like, okay, forget it. I got the message. All of a sudden, my dimag ki bati jali ki when mosquito manifestation happens around me, oh, it is something to do with the metaphysical world. I just closed my eyes and I took a support of the back because I was a little tired that day. We had done a lot of new yoga asanas, which I wasn't used to. So I just did my back and I'm like, okay, let's meditate. I went into I thought I'll go into my hall of records and open them in the Akashic. And I don't know what I did. And I was just transferred into this beautiful world. And I saw a gazillion angels, guardians, people of higher being, like, as if They're just coming and descending, flying. I could see the wings. I could see it all. Whether it's imagination, whether it was a feeling, I was overwhelmed. And then the magic happened. I was receiving the blessings from them because I had gone to Rishikesh to heal myself. I had been struggling, is the right word, with depression. I wanted to out of it. And I said, May is my birthday month and I'm turning 45 and I must be here for 28 days to learn yoga. And like my birthday will also happen in Rishikesh, I'm all right with it, with between strangers. And that day, I had physical pain here. In between, it was already starting to be arthritic. A lot of my knee, and there were other pains also. And after that morning meditation, when I got up, no pain. So sometimes these extraordinary messages are trying to come to us, but we may be ignorant. Why I was receptive in the morning is because the room was khali, there was no one, and I was just there. Instead, it was in the middle of a day when there are people around you. You'll start going into mundane activities and forget about it, and you have missed the communication. The gifted psychic and medium Char gave a reading to my teenage daughter, Amy, the day before Carol and I had attended the funeral of the grandfather of Amy's good friend, David. Amy knew this man as Buzzy, his nickname. I have a message for someone named David, Char told her. It's from his grandfather, whose name is Howard or Harold. She went on with uncanny accuracy. Amy had never known that Buzzy's name was Howard. Tell them that he loves them and he's fine. He is with Max and Sam. None of us knew Max or Sam. The next day, we learned that Sam was Buzzy's father and Max was Sam's good friend and business partner for 25 years. We do not die when our physical bodies die. A part of us goes spirit, soul, consciousness. It is like walking through a door into another room, a larger, brighter, wonderful room. And this room is magical. I can say so because I have been in that room when I lost my brother. He took me there for a split second and showed me. I was like, wow. And that is when I stopped crying when I was in the meditation because I could see that he's in a really beautiful place and he said so. If only you could see how beautifully I live, you'll stop grieving for me because I'm in a much better place, Dee. And I'm looking around with all of you. I am there. And that day, he also told me that tell Tavishi, which is my younger daughter, she must have been, what was she left us 5 years ago? She was 11. And he said, tell Tavishi and Hia. So he has 5 nieces. Hia is my elder niece and Tavishi is my younger daughter. So other 3 he didn't name. He said, tell them I'm always around them. And that day, Tavishi went to her friend's house in Noida and she got locked in the bathroom. छोटी सी थी 11 साल की अब ब्लॉक हो गई मोबाइल फोन भी नहीं था. How does she communicate? But she had heard me say that Rishi Mama is around me. She said, Rishi Mama, please help me. And she said, Mama, I opened the door and the door opened like so smoothly. And before that, I was shaking and breaking and making it, and it was stuck. And Auntie said the gate is faulty. You don't have to close it. Otherwise, they have to unlock with the key. But Mama, I could manage to open without the key. So, and because she was 11, she could trust the process. So she tried and she believed. So souls never die. So if you have a loved one who has crossed over, and you want to tap into the energy, whether they're living or not living, it doesn't matter. The energy is there. Don't think that a person has come back on Mother Earth, become adorning another body, so he's forgotten about you. He's moved on. They never move on. If you want them, the energy body, the astral body is always around to guide you, to help you, protect you, and give you messages. So that is why we should not be afraid. We are always surrounded by love. Our loved ones never leave. We are all beautiful and immortal souls. We are in our bodies for a while, but we are not our bodies. When my patients and others receive messages from loved ones who have died, the message is amazingly similar. Whether in regressions, in dreams, from mediums, or in any other way, this is a common theme. I love you. I'm fine. Take care of yourself and do not grieve so much for me. They're always telling us not to mourn. They know something we have forgotten. They're immortal and so are we. But what happens to us? We are physical beings, human beings. We are full of emotions and we want to have that comfort of seeing the person. Like I used to crave for my brother's bear hug. He was tall and robust. And when I used to go in him, I felt enveloped. I felt like security blanket is around me. I just missed that. But it took me a while to make me understand that they are around us. Even when we die, we are going to be around our loved ones. So some mothers and grandmothers, and they're like, "Hamare baad kya hoga?" Arey, sab acha hoga. You can still protect them, guide them. Now, a very beautiful message. Listen to this. One of the most powerful experiences of my life occurred when I received an extraordinary message during a regression with Catherine. I share this story so you may understand a moment that forever changed my life. And one more thing. I'm going off track. One more thing. On track, but not in the book. If you have been true to yourself, not to others, then you will be used as a channel for giving messages. And if you start helping people and going in this beautiful world, delve deeper and deeper, and helps you go inward, you will realize that you are healing. The greatest tragedy in my life had been the unexpected death of our firstborn son, Adam, who was only 23 days old when he died early in 1971. About 10 days after we had brought him home from the hospital, he had developed respiratory problems and projectile vomiting. The diagnosis was extremely difficult to make. Total anomalous pulmonary venous drainage with an atrial septal defect, we were told. It occurs once in approximately every 10 million births. The pulmonary veins, which were supposed to bring oxygenated blood back to the heart, were incorrectly routed, entering the heart on the wrong side. It was as if his heart were turned around backward. Extremely, extremely rare. Heroic open heart surgery could not save Adam, who died several days later. We mourned for months. Our hopes and dreams dashed. Our son Jordan was born a year later, a balm for our wounds. At the time of Adam's death, I had been wavering about my earlier choice of psychiatry as a career. I was enjoying my internship in internal medicine, and I had been offered a residency position in medicine. After Adam's death, I firmly decided I would make psychiatry my profession. I was angry that modern medicine, with all of its advanced skills technology, could not save my son, this simple little tiny boy. My father had been an excellent hand until he experienced a massive heart attack early in 79 at the age of 61. He survived the initial attack, but his heart wall had been irretrievably damaged, and he died 3 days later. This was about 9 months before Catherine's first appointment. My father had been a religious man, more ritualistic than spiritual. Again, following rituals is not a bad thing. It is not andhvishwas. If you believe in a ritual, it's fine. Whether it is to do with anything to do with God's life or your own beliefs. If you're a little less spiritual, but if you're more ritualistic, you will become spiritual. It's the stepway into it. Anyways, his Hebrew name was Avron, suited him better than his English name. Alvin, 4 months after his death, a daughter, Amy, was born, and she was named after him. Here in 1982, in my quiet, darkened office, a deafening cascade of hidden secret truths were pouring upon me. I was swimming in a spiritual sea, and I loved the water. My arms were goose flesh. Catherine could not possibly know this information. There was no place even to look it up. My father's Hebrew name, and I had a son who died in infancy from a 1 in 10 million heart defect. My brooding about medicine, my father's death, and my daughter's naming, it was too much, too specific, too true. The unsophisticated laboratory technician was a conduit for transcendental knowledge. And if she could reveal these truths, what else was there? I needed to know more. Who? I sputtered. Who's there? Who tells you these things? The masters, she whispered. The master spirits tell me, they tell me I have lived 86 times in physical state. Catherine's breathing slowed, and her heart and her head stopped rolling from side to side. She was resting. I wanted to go on, but the implications of what she had said were distracting me. Did she really have 86 previous lifetimes? And what about the masters? Could it be? Could our lives be guided by spirits? The message regarding my father and my son opened my mind to the possibility of eternity and paranormal phenomena. After this and the subsequent experiences with other patients, my values began to shift towards the spiritual and away from the material, more towards people and relationships and less towards accumulating things. I became more aware of what we take with us and what we don't. Indeed, before these experiences, I did not believe that a part of us survived physical death. Now, please take this into your consideration and please write if you can, if you want to, that all of us survive physical death. That love is eternal. And all of our loved ones also survive physical death. So physical death is just one thing. It is not everything. But the consciousness that we carry with us is everything. And that we are born again and again and again with. So all these beautiful mornings that we are all spending on this soulful journey, we will be brought back with this on Mother Earth if our journey is not yet over here. Right? So we all survive physical death. And we all must build ourselves with good values, good virtues. In fact, that is what our soul's message is. Every soul's message. Not just yours or mine or hers or his, everybody's. Moving on. In my travels through Brazil, a spiritually progressed country, I have met many talented and enlightened people. I was very impressed by a medium named Celia. A friend of mine impulsively took me to a group session Celia was conducting in a working class area of Rio de Janeiro. Celia knew nothing about me or my book. She spoke only Portuguese, so my friend translated for me. I was sitting near the front of the auditorium. People had written names on pieces of paper and then put them in a basket. Celia took these pieces, crumpled them, and without looking, called out certain names. People, recognizing the names of the deceased loved ones, approached a small raised podium where Celia was sitting. Sometimes individuals or couples would come up, sometimes entire families. The emotions on their faces reflected in their body language was genuine and spontaneous. More than 800 people from all social classes were in the audience. Nobody knew if or when he or she would be called up. I've rarely seen anyone work as rapidly as Celia. A torrent of exact names, descriptions of physical characteristics, and personality traits all poured forth like a waterfall of facts. Not only did she know how people died, she had access to her private and confidential details from the deceased person's life, details the families found, enormously comforting. Her words emerged with a force that belied her small, frail 65 or 70-year-old body. She's shorter than 5 feet tall and she needed an inhaler to keep her asthma in check. Two stories were extraordinarily touching. Celia called out a man's name and his mother, father, and sister came up to the podium. I saw that the family was shaking as Celia vividly described the terrible automobile accident in which the young man had been killed. She told them that he was fine now and sending his love, but that he was not alone. Two other young people had died with him in the car. Celia called out two more names, and in a surreal tableau, the grieving families of the other two victims approached the podium. The father of one of the children stood in back of the others, holding himself stiffly erect and a bit separate, obviously struggling to control his emotions. The others were weeping and holding on to each other. Celia turned to the aloof man's wife. Do not feel guilty. They're all well now in spirit. This woman's son had been the driver of the car, apparently responsible for the accident, and the mother had been feeling particularly terrible. They send you their love, Celia continued, and she added many more personal details. She took a long look at the man who was standing stiffly behind the other. She stood, and even though she was standing on the podium behind a small table and the others were shakily standing on the floor, her head was still not much higher than the others. She wanted to see him even more clearly. Your son tells me that you're having a harder time accepting all of this. It is more difficult for you because you are an engineer. The man nodded at the accuracy of these comments. He says you can stop arguing about the carpet. It is unimportant now. And this comment, the father broke down. Hugging his wife, he began to cry. Unbeknownst to the others, he and his wife had been arguing about a particular carpet in their house for some time. The father insisted the dust of this carpet was responsible for his son's allergies and asthmatic attacks. His wife, however, was convinced her beloved carpet was blameless and refused to part with it. The extremely personal nature of this comment broke through the engineer's intellect and touched his heart. He could no longer deny that he was experiencing. He held his wife tightly as they sobbed together, knowing their son was still alive in spirit, knowing that we are not our bodies and we never really die. After a few other emotional and accurate communications from the other side, Celia called the name of a man who had been shot and murdered 3 weeks previously. The wife of the slain man and the 2 physicians' sons walked to the podium. The messages Celia delivered were filled with private details. Then she described the shooting and the medical treatments that followed. She used highly technical medical terms, even wandering into the intricacies of quantum physics. I doubted that Celia had special training in medicine or physics, but my translator confirmed this. As the dead man conveyed his love for his family, the three hugged each other tightly. The healing they were experiencing was palpable throughout the room. And this is very beautiful to know that when you are in these sessions and somebody is being healed, you attract healing to yourself. हम वेट करते रहते हैं मेरा नंबर कब आएगा. But when you are there in body, in mind, in spirit, in the session, you are also healing. Because the healing is, again, etheric. It just traverses. Celia was not finished, however. She had a beautiful spiritual message to deliver. He appreciates your sympathy and your love, but he wants you to also feel sympathy for the man who shot him. Let go of your anger. This man is of a lower level and does not yet understand spiritual laws. He will pay a heavy price for his actions, yet because he's ignorant, he needs help, he needs your prayers. He did not understand that, therefore, he should not be judged. After 60 or 70 readings, Celia took a break. I was led, that's a lot of energy, huh? Wow. Wow. I was led to a small room with about a dozen other people. Celia was already resting in a chair, and I was introduced to her as a famous doctor from America who wrote and lectured about reincarnation and other spiritual matters. From the questions she asked about my work, it was evident that Celia was not familiar with me or my works. Then she blessed my work, and I praised her abilities. We agreed that only unconditional love really matters. Suddenly, and without any real change in her voice or tone, she started giving me messages. Your son Adam is here, and he wants you to know that his heart is now in the correct position. He watches over and protects his brother Jordan and his sister with the same name as the father. He sends his love to his mother Carol. She pronounced her name as Carol Lee. His death was important to bring you peace and serenity later through your work. Can you imagine? just because the doctor had to go better and deeper into the psychic world and not just become one of the millions or billions of physicians around. The son had to cross over at a young age of 27, 28 days, because that would have taught his father many lessons. And you remember he just talked about it, that the death changed him and pushed him more because he stopped believing in the medical world. Carol's father and her uncle, both of whom died many years ago, were the only people who pronounced her name that way. It was their pet name for her. Celia's voice now changed tone a bit and she became more serious. Your spiritual work is exactly right. It is correct and good. Don't get discouraged. Continue. The work is helping everywhere, even on the other side. It will grow even larger. As Celia's words entered my mind and my heart, I remembered Catherine's messages 17 years earlier, moving and life-changing messages from my father and my son Adam. A chill came over me these 17 years later. I knew that Celia knew nothing about me or my family, and that she had not read my books. Her accuracy gave me goosebumps. After all these years, I still don't take miracles for granted. Celia did not know that I do get discouraged from time to time because the demands of the work keeping me from my family and friends, because I can't possibly respond to many queries for help, and because of relentless onslaught from skeptics and critics. Celia's words revived my heart and refreshed my soul. The 800 people and I were sharing a remarkable experience. As I returned to the larger room, I felt the peaceful, loving energy that filled the building. I talked briefly to the four families whose messages I described over. None had ever met or talked to Celia or her staff before the moment they were called. The next morning, I phoned my friend to thank him for taking me to Celia. He said that he had spoken to Celia after I had left, and she told him that many more spirits were there for me when I was in that room with her. Many were trying to come through with messages for me, but she did not want to overload or overwhelm me. And so she stopped with Adam's message. A brief wave of disappointment washed over me. I wanted to hear and experience much more, but I was happy that with what I had been observed and heard throughout the day, and my discouragement faded. A few years earlier, James Van Prague, the American medium and author of the international best-selling Talking to Heaven and Now Reaching to Heaven, had predicted that my work would be reaching larger and larger audiences. He told me that I was in a transition period to an even higher level of influence in the world, which desperately needed a spiritual direction and a melding of science and spirituality. My mind heard these predictions, but I didn't really believe them. They just seemed to be too much opposition and skepticism in the way. For 9 years, I had been exhausting myself trying to teach about the truth and reality of life after death, reincarnation, divine love. For 9 years, I had been ridiculed and mocked for teaching that love never stops, that we are our loved ones do not die when our bodies die, that we continue to exist and continue to love as spirits, and if necessary, back here in physical state. I knew I was teaching the truth. But so many people keep their minds closed. How could the work reach a higher level, and why now? During and shortly after Brazil trip, three things happened that in sequence began to awaken me and to alert me to the possibility that Celia and James were correct. The first was the size of the crowds and the media's reaction to my talks and workshops in Brazil. In every city I visited, thousands of people poured into the auditoriums. Every event was sold out. Television, newspaper, magazines covered all events. Book signings would go on for hours because of the huge number of people waiting patiently in the long lines. Yet, my mind managed to discount this huge reaction. This is Brazil, I rationalized. Brazil is a country of immense spiritual awareness and enlightenment, a land of spectacular physical beauty, that's especially of beautiful people. The people are open minded, loving, and already spiritually awakened. Spiritists such as Alan Kardec have already paved the way. Brazil is an exception, I thought, as are many of the other countries of Latin America, where people feel free to talk about and share their spiritual experiences. Then the second event occurred. Over the years, I have treated many celebrities, political leaders, sports stars, others in the practice. Many have dramatic experiences, whether of past lives or spiritual phenomena, because of the rules of confidentiality, the respect for the privacy. I can't talk or write about them. They, of course, are not bound by the same restrictions. Yet, because of their concern about public reaction, it is very rare for someone of their prominence to talk about me, my books, or our work together. Our exception has been Gloria Estefan, an incredibly talented singer and actress who's also a person of enormous physical and moral courage. She's very advanced spiritually. Gloria has a beautiful heart and has helped the Miami community in numerous charitable ways. When she went public about me, I was thrilled but not surprised. In a magazine article in June 96, Gloria said, I have meditated my whole life almost as a form of self hypnosis. But I didn't really know what it was until after my tour bus accident when a friend of mine sent me the book Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. It made a big impact on me and gave me a lot of strength during my recovery. I drew upon it often. I was always curious about hypnosis without realizing that I'd been doing a form of it myself for years. Eventually, I met Brian Weiss and he hypnotized me. He used the same techniques that I was using since I was a child to do a kind of inner meditation. This has been my way of praying as well. So, why was this Gloria's way of praying? How did she know self hypnosis? Some things are just guided and come to us automatically, and when we follow, we're on the right track. So, Gloria was not the second event. Sylvester Stallone was while I was in Brazil in August 1997. He told me the American press about how I helped him prepare for his role in Copland, his new movie. Critics were praising Stallone's acting in Copland. He was not playing an acting hero again, but a much more dramatically demanding role as a physically impaired sheriff fighting corruption in a small town. The newspapers wrote, Stallone underwent internal preparations as well, especially knowing he'd been working opposite Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel, and Ray Liotta. I had never worked with such good actors before. He says, confessing some trepidation. Suddenly, I was thrown into this arena that was like going from the Cub Scouts to the Green Berets. One of the things he had to consult was Dr. Brian Weiss, author of the best-selling Many Lives, Many Masters. Weiss, a Miami psychiatrist who mixes hypnosis, spiritual psychotherapy, past life regression into his practice, helped Stallone tap into something he'd forgotten. Weiss came upon the idea of non-physical courage, which is the bravest of all. And this, my dear friends, my dear co-seekers, is the most profound. We don't only get courage from our physical body. Non-physical courage is the courage that we tap into when we are open and receptive to walk towards something which needs courage, knowing that our angel mentors, guardians, ancestors are with us, and all we have to do is ask for that courage. So be courageous, and next time you have a problem, ask for the courage because you shall be given. A man who enters a situation knowing there's no chance he can physically survive the outcome, but he willingly does it for an ideal, Stallone says. Weiss says his meeting with Stallone wasn't about unearthing any past lives. It was not a doctor-patient thing. The character was a hero of a deeper moral and spiritual courage. And he was concerned about being able to express that. My impression was that Stallone has these qualities innately. All I did was help him remove any possible obstacles to his expression of these qualities. Such extensive preparation for a movie was something Stallone hadn't done in a very long time, not because he hadn't wanted to, but because the roles he was talking didn't require much more than him other than to show up, dodge bullets, and hang from an occasional mountain. The fact that Sylvester Stallone had the courage to mention me publicly meant that millions more people became aware of the work. The third event happened only a few days later after Sylvester Stallone's quote and Celia's messages. This event had a great impact on me personally, but it was much more private. I had returned to Miami from Brazil on August 19th, 1997. On August 22nd, I received a phone call in my office. The phone call was from Kensington Palace in London, the home of Diana, the Princess of Wales. Princess Diana's personal assistant, Jacqueline Allen, was on the line. The princess loved your book. Only love is real, Jacqueline told me. It brought her great comfort and peace. She would like to talk with you. Are you planning a trip to England in the near future? No, there's nothing scheduled, but I'm sure we can arrange something. Well, she's on a holiday now. She would like to contact you when she returns to England. That would be my pleasure. I'm going to send her my other books and some audio tapes. We sent her a package of books and tapes that afternoon, and I looked forward on to her call. I had admired her courage, her compassion, her charitable work, and the way she seemed able to show great love to people with AIDS and other afflictions. Of course, the Princess Diana never did call me. On August 31st, just before she was returned to England, she and Dodi Fayed were killed in the terrible automobile crash in Paris. I do not believe in coincidences. And I'm writing this section about Princess Diana now, only a few days after her death. I'm deeply saddened, although I know that she's fine, that a loving and shining soul is alive, well clothed in light and in love on the other side. Still, there's always a sorrow when people leave us physically. I believe there are two reasons why I heard from Kensington Palace the week before Princess Diana's death. Only Love is Real is a book about soulmates and about love. It is about people who have had that special connection that transcends time and space. It is about people who have been together before in past lives or across spiritual dimensions and who find their true love again, their loved ones again in this life. They learn that love is eternal and absolute. Love never ends, not even by death. We're always loved. We are never alone. We're always reunited with our loved ones. I believe that Princess Diana felt a soulmate connection to Dodi Fayed and probably to her sons and to her other loved ones as well. Perhaps only love is real helped her to understand these powerful connections. The other reason is that the people who often have premonitions or strong intuitive feelings about important events in their lives. Frequently, these feelings are about impending deaths, whether theirs or of other people close to them. There are of so many accounts of people saying goodbye in one way or just another just before their unexpected death. One of my patients, the young pregnant wife of a businessman killed in an aeroplane crash in Colombia, her recurrent dream of his death in a plane crash for the entire month before it happened. How could she have been warned in advance if this was truly a random accident? So everything is scripted. Even that we are reading this book right now is somewhere scripted on a soul level. We have wanted to increase our karmic leverage, like leaving it, probably not leverage, a karmic baggage being dropped. And that can happen when spiritually we grow stronger and fonder of who we are. Another patient was a woman in Miami whose brother was killed in a car accident in Michigan. Weeks before the accident, she had visited funeral homes to get more information. Perhaps Diana knew at some level. Only love is real, just like many lives, many masters, and through time into healing is not only about soulmates and past lives, it is about truth and divine love. It explains that there really is no death, only light, that our souls are eternal and can never be harmed, that we will always meet our loved ones again, in spirit and in body. These are books of hope, not just because they are comforting, but because they are true. Perhaps the book comforted Princess Diana about the earlier death of her beloved father. Was she still grieving for him? Was it comfort that she found related to him? Princess Diana read my book just before her death. The timing is not a coincidence. She learned more about soulmates, but she also learned about souls. I'm sure her reception to the other side was splendid, with brilliant, loving light and incredible joy. I will miss her. I hope my book was able to help her a little bit. The small conference room was packed with 150 people, hanging on his every word as I witnessed the spiritual medium James Van Prague convey information from deceased loved ones. Even the skeptics amongst us had to marvel at the small evidential details he delivers to those young for proof that their loved ones live on. Then those he addressed acknowledges accuracy. The more intimate the detail, the more astonished and the more touched we all were. Carol and I were sitting about halfway back in the audience. I was having trouble intellectually understanding how James could know these small facts. They tell me is always his simple answer. On my left sat a woman who looked to be in her mid 30s. James called out a man's name, and an older woman on the other side of her shakily rose from her chair. That's my mother. The younger woman confided for me. A stream of confirming details which some call evidentials flew from James to the other woman, who was in her 60s. Yes, yes, oh yes. She kept replying. Her hands were tensed into tight balls, her legs were unsteady. He thanks you for tending to his roses. He knows you do not do this because of your love for him, and he returns love to you. The older woman nodded, tears falling from her eyes. And don't worry about the dogs, James said enigmatically with a touch of humor. Her daughter turned to me to explain. She does tend to my father's rose garden. She seems driven to do so. So she worries so about her dogs running through and ruining the garden. This is so amazing. Her ears were also welling with tears. I was so touched by what was happening and I had to struggle to maintain some objectivity and distance. Soon James had everyone crying. He thanks you for bringing something of his here today. It's a ring. He's telling me it's his ring and you brought it with you to help his chances of coming through. As James finished, the woman slowly stretched out her arm in front of her and opened her left hand, which without reading had been tightly clenched. Which throughout the reading had been tightly clenched. In her hand was her husband's ring, which even I, 2 seats away, had not noticed until that moment. All in the room were deeply moved. A glowing smile spread across the older woman's face. She knew her husband was there communicating with her. She never carries around that ring, her daughter said. She answered to my inquiring look. She only brought it to this conference hoping that it would help. I guess it did, she added, tears rolling down her cheeks. Mediums are not mind readers. Wherever the inspiration or knowledge derives, it is not from the minds of their clients or audiences. Another James Van Prague vignette illustrates this point. Working with an audience of nearly 600 people in the ballroom of a hotel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, James was once again directed to specific people in the audience. I had just observed him helping a grieving couple whose 7-year-old daughter had recently died of leukemia. She sends her love and is very grateful to you for keeping her with all the toys and dolls and the unicorns. Although this made no sense at the moment to me, the young parents reacted immediately. With great emotion, they explained that their daughter had been cremated. The box with the ashes was kept in her bedroom among the young girl's toys and dolls. The bed sheets and pillowcases were their daughter's favorite ones, decorated with unicorn. James had never met or talked with these young parents before that moment. Never did he realize that the next person to whom he was directing was a young woman whom I knew. James had arrived from California, where he lives, and had not met her before. I have David here. Sorry. David, somebody's son who has died and is in spirit. A few women stood up. As David is not a rare name, but the young woman I knew did not stand. She has no children. Her husband's brother, whose name was David, had died suddenly 2 years previously, but thus far the information was not specific enough for her to respond. James did seem to connect with any of the women who had responded, did not seem to connect. Who's the pilot? James then asked. He's telling me about a pilot, someone with David who's a pilot. Now the women who were standing sat down, but the woman shakily stood. I have a David. He's my brother-in-law, my husband's brother. He died 2 years ago. His mother is a pilot. She flies airplanes. Now James seemed satisfied that proper connection had been made. He wants to give his love for her. Then he looked up to the side as if he were listening to someone. Then he looked back to the young woman. He looked up above her head. I see a red knife above your head. I'm being shown that somebody has been looking at this knife and thinking about cleaning the knife. The young woman knew nothing about a red knife. Neither she nor her husband owned one. She could not confirm the information. Keep it, James added, meaning to bring this for future. Then he moved on to the next stranger because everyone in the ballroom was new to him. A few days later, I talked to the young woman. You wouldn't believe this, she told me. When she returned home after the workshop concluded, she had called her mother-in-law who lived in a real rural Pennsylvania. She did not tell her mother-in-law, David's mother, about the workshop or about James. She merely asked one question. Does a red knife mean something to you? It is funny you should ask that. Yesterday, the day before the workshop, I was down in the basement cleaning up and moving some fishing equipment. I saw David's old Swiss Army knife and I picked it up. I remember thinking I should clean this knife. James had become aware of a thought in the mind of David's mother, who had picked up the red knife and experienced a thought about cleaning it the day before the workshop. The young woman in the audience had no knowledge of this knife or of the thought which occurred in the basement of a house more than 1,000 miles distant. The details of Swiss Army knives, pilots, unicorns, and so on are too much specific to be relegated to the categories of coincidence or generality. We all learn to do what James does. As you will see throughout this book that we lack the confidence and the practice to realize this. I like to use the analogy of playing the piano when I talk about learning to use our psychic abilities. Not everyone is born with the talent to be a virtuoso pianist. However, with lessons and with practice and hard work, all of us can learn to bang out a few tunes. The same is true with developing our intuitive processes. Eventually, we will understand that all wisdom is within us. And as we remember, practice, and access this wisdom, we will become our own best teacher. At this point, we will find peace and joy in the present time because the real issue is about how we live our lives right now, being spiritual now, no matter what we have been taught to believe. And as we awaken, the spirits will sing their love songs directly to our ears. So all of us are blessed with intuition. All of us are blessed with so many gifts. But how many of us are tapping into those gifts? How many of us are trusting the process? That's the question. Nonetheless, we'll now meditate and move on to this beautiful book, starting from where we stopped today. So that's tomorrow. So let's close our eyes and take a deep breath in and feel the space in your heart, not by touching it, by feeling internally. What are you feeling? After reading this beautiful book, are you overwhelmed with emotions, with trust, with faith? Maybe witnessing a magic moment and wow. And can you, with this beautiful feeling, tap into your mind and be grateful for all that the mind holds at the physical, etheric level? And at this juncture, when you feel so much of love, joy, and peace, above all faith, could you request your soul, your subconscious mind, to help you tap into your own potential, to become a better version, to become someone who can help the others unconditionally, who can grow with more love and be wrapped in pure light and sharing the light by shining bright, bright here, bright now. That's why the story starts. Knowing that nothing huge has to come our way, just something certain and basic. All it has to do is come and greet us and make us into who we are. We all realize that life is indeed beautiful, that we all are tuned inwards because at a soul level, we wish to know about the journey. This journey is helping us get love, peace, joy, and above all, I repeat, faith. Day by day, our faith in love is increasing. Day by day, whether we realize or not, we are tuning in deeper within. Some things may look repetitive, but repetition is the key to success. And after we go through the soul's journey, there are thoughts to ponder, to do manthan over throughout the day, maybe at times. And now, when we begin to trust the process, can we request our subconscious mind to at least prepare us for this beautiful world of love and light ahead? And with that, we bow our heads in gratitude towards a higher soul, our higher self, all the energies, the good energies, the vibrant, positive, spiritual energies that are around us. And let's ask for their blessings. Just pure love and light is descending from the heavens above into your being. And this pure love and light is entering your body through your Sahasrara chakra and just flooding into every core of your being, into every part of your being. So see the blessings like beautiful drops of golden energy entering you, going into your brain, your eyes, nose, mouth with tongue and teeth, your ears with so much happening around, your chin level, your neck, your shoulders, your chest. And now feel this light flooding into every organ of your being by healing whatever was unhealed. Trust the process and let the healing do its work. Whether it's your knee, whether it's your ankle, whether it's your leg or lower back, or any part of your body. Trust that the healing is happening with this beautiful healing energy being gifted to you from all the angel guardians, guides, mentors, masters, protectors, gurus in this realm or the other. You're right now in the center of receiving so much of love energy, light energy, healing energy. Let there be love, let there be light. Feel this love, feel this light. At this point, I will still leave you deep into your meditation. Do not get up. Feel the healing. Ask your masters whatever you wish to ask for support, for guidance, or for any possible strength. Know that it's there in abundance. All you have to do is just ask, express. So continue doing that. I'll see you in the gap tomorrow at 6 a.m. Let your meditation continue. Do not get up from it. Go deeper and deeper. And this is your time for your internal connection. So savor the moment.